We want to change how every single business in the world thinks about sustainability and make it profitable.
We're trying to build the world's best signal processing for 5G.
To make dating safer for all university students in the UK.
We want to be a global solution for every retailer in the world.
We want it to be as big as places such as Amazon and Etsy.
Plugged into every healthcare system globally.
To help cities and organizations become carbon neutral.
I want RKI to be used across the world to be mass discovering new archaeological sites.
So before going into the world of startups, I didn't know anything.
We'd never founded a company or anything before. We'd never kind of tried to commercialize a project.
Really, our biggest challenge at the beginning was how are we going to get investment so that we can actually get started.
Also actually thinking, can I move out of, in my case, the research environment and create this startup from the ground?
I thought that I knew a lot because I read about some of these things, read some books.
I found the way to learn it is to engage with others who've done it before, get support from mentors.
I think that definitely was the point when I created, actually this is possible.
Lots of people want to launch their own business. They want to take control, they want to make a difference. And yet so few people actually make it happen. Future Worlds is all about helping those aspiring founders go from an idea to launch and then scale so that they can change the world. We need those bold visionaries, those pioneers who are willing to take a risk to pursue their dream. They are the heroes. And it is a privilege, alongside a network of multi-millionaire investors, startup founders, seasoned executives, to come alongside those heroes and help them to fulfill their potential. And there is a compound effect as each individual fulfills their potential. So more and more each year we're seeing exceptionally talented researchers and students pursue their own journeys. And it creates a wave that is transforming our university, our city, and our world.
It's great to feel like I can share some of those experiences, whether it's business experience or people experience or just, things you pick up through life. It feels like, you can really see someone grow. And I've got founders that literally every monthly update I get, I'm just more and more impressed.
You get a buzz when you say something and realise that you're saying the right thing at the right time to that person. And it's moments like that that really make everything all worthwhile.
I was put in touch with a co-founder of a health tech startup.
And he's been really helpful at explaining to me how the commercial world works.
And talking to them, we realized that very often there's not just a single right choice. People take risks, but we were comforted by the fact that other people were in a very similar situation.
I think without that, we probably would have been at risk to not have started something.
I think that experience that I gained during that time really translates to almost every single role that I've had since then.
Today, AppSolar has a team of 8 people.
We have spoken to customers. We are now ready to start creating product for those customers.
We're looking to get our product selling and scaling within the market.
We're hoping that by the end of next year we'll have over 1,000 businesses listed and over 500,000 products available for customers to buy.
We're planning to launch a new marketing insight platform off the back of that that will open up a whole new market and set of clients.
Today at Emitwise, we are a team of 15. We have just finished raising a large financing round led by some incredible Silicon Valley investors, some of the biggest people in the industry. And really none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for the help of Future Worlds.
Without doing the whole startup experience at university, there is no way I could have ended up where I am today doing the things I am.
Welcome to Southampton, welcome to Future Worlds. We are the on-campus startup accelerator here at the University of Southampton. We exist to help people just like you to change the world with their ideas, because we believe there is never a better opportunity than while you're at university to launch a great startup. Why do I say that? Look at so many of the world-defining startups of our time. The Apples, the Googles, Microsoft and Facebook, all of them came from universities. And so you have a great opportunity while you are studying here to do something that you just never know where it could lead. My name is Ben Clark. I'm the director of Future World, so it's a real privilege for me to work with some of the brightest and the most talented students and researchers in the world here in Southampton to help them go on this journey. We've got an incredibly exciting network of mentors and investors who are putting money and expertise behind the students and researchers here to help them have the highest possible chance of success. But for me today, it's just to say welcome, thank you for joining us. I'm going to leave you with the rest of the Future Worlds team taking you through the event today. So enjoy yourselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom and I'm the Events and Marketing Officer at Future Worlds. I'm here to talk to you about the events that we deliver and how you can get involved. I'm also going to introduce you to 4 founders. These founders have all received help and support from Future Worlds and have chosen different paths and are at different stages. I really hope that these stories inspire you to get involved in the startup community here at the university and illustrate that if you just take that first step, you're going to open yourself up to so much opportunity. This year we'll be taking our events online to deliver you engaging virtual experiences to help you pursue your own startup. We're going to continue to innovate and make these events bigger and better as we adapt to the way things have changed. So what events should you be looking out for? Well, one of our biggest events is the Future Worlds Dragon's Den event, which is happening again at the end of this month. It's an incredible opportunity for you guys to apply, to have your startup accelerated to the point where you could be pitching for big investment from our very own multi-millionaire dragons. We also have our 20-minute founder series, where we invite a very successful entrepreneur from within our network to come tell their story and inspire you to follow in their footsteps. We also have our workshops where you can learn startup methodology, which can be applied to your own ideas to help you focus and develop them into your very own successful startup. CES is one of the biggest tech shows in the world, and it happens every year in Las Vegas in January. We have a stand where we help startups showcase their product or service on the world stage. This year it's going to be virtual, but for me that can only mean it's more accessible. Lastly, we put on panel discussions with experts and mentors to discuss key topics within the startup world to help you learn from those who have been there and done it before. You can find all of our events and other interesting events on the Future Worlds website, futureworlds.com, by visiting the Engage section. You will also find our virtual office hours where you can come and discuss your idea with one of the team members of Future Worlds. So let's get started. So please guys, get involved in the chat because Mauro, Tom, Sally and Alex will be there to answer any of your questions during all of these interviews. So get involved and I hope you enjoy it. So Mauro, welcome to the Future Worlds Freshers Event 2020. I know this is a busy time for you, so thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you.
No, thank you, Tom. Happy to be here.
So tell us who you are, what you studied at the university, and a little bit about Emitwise, your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Mauro. I studied acoustical engineering at the University of Southampton, and I recently co-founded Emitwise, which is a startup that helps large businesses profitably become carbon neutral and be more sustainable.
That's great, Mauro. So thinking about when you came to uni, did you always think that you would come to uni and start a business, or was that something that kind of you stumbled across whilst being at uni?
Yeah, I definitely did not think about it coming into university. It was something that I discovered mostly in my first year. Started going to some of these, the talks that Future Worlds put together with some ex-entrepreneurs and mentors, and just sort of passively listening in. And that was really the seed that started making me think, hey, maybe there's something for me in this world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that because I think a lot of people say to me, or some of the students who have done it, is that they started out just kind of going along to an event or a meet up with Fish on Toast or whatever it is. They just kind of took that first initial step with no real ambition to start their own company, but ended up going, do you know what, I want to do this. So it's interesting that you say that. So talking about your story, I think your story is kind of a testament to how Future Worlds can help a student startup at university. And I really want to get across kind of what an amazing journey you've been on in such a short period of time. So starting at the beginning, if you can tell us about kind of the initial startup, how you went out to Silicon Valley and kind of where Emmet-Wise is today and how that kind of led you to found another company when you came back to London.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, when we were first getting started, it was a pretty stereotypical sort of just like three friends hacking stuff together in university kind of experience. I would say that Future Worlds, to be frank, is what really got us to be a little bit more serious about our ideas and ambitions. You know, you guys supported us by giving us access to like mentors that were encouraging us to really pursue these ideas that we had. And ultimately, when Future Worlds plugged us into Berkeley Skydeck and we went out to Silicon Valley, that was really sort of the step change in my entrepreneurial career, at least, because getting out to Silicon Valley, being plugged into that network makes all of the difference, right? That is the sort of like where the real game happens, I would say. And so out there, I would say is where we learned the real ropes of starting a unicorn and growing it quickly. You know, whereas I would say Future Worlds was sort of like our incubation stage. And out there we got exposed to all these incredible entrepreneurs that really inspire you to want to achieve, you know, enormous things. And then following that, now coming back into London, I would say that we took everything we learned in Silicon Valley and are applying it in a more sort of process-driven, sort of a little bit more structured enterprise context, if you would. So I think there's a bit of maturity at every stage, but that access to Silicon Valley was sort of the pivotal moment, if you would.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think, you know, Future Worlds is absolutely, you know, privileged to be partnered with Skydeck out in Silicon Valley and be able to help startups like yourself have that opportunity to get out there. Could you tell us a little bit more about that program and how it really helped you? Like, you know, what is the program like? Tell us, what is it like? What is it like?
Yeah, I mean, look, Berkeley Skydeck is one of the best accelerators out there. And the second that you get there, the first thing that they tell you is you're here to build $1 billion business, to build your moonshot. You know, that's their tagline. And everything that you do and everything that they say and they do and they support you with is all around how do you build that moonshot, right? They give you access to advisors. They give you access to all of the resources that you need, to some of the world's like leading investors. But ultimately, what they really keep hammering in at every step of the journey is you're here to build a moonshot to really change the world. And other than that, to be frank, it's just day-to-day grind and hustle, right? It's coming in every day, putting in the blood, sweat, and tears, and really trying to build something out there.
Yeah, that's great. And I think another interesting thing, and something I get asked by students a lot when they start out at university, they're interested in starting a business, but they are questioning how can they do that and do their studies. And I think, again, you're a great example of someone who was out in Silicon Valley in an accelerator with money invested in their company and still doing their studies at university and finishing that and the value that can bring. It is a real, you know, eye-opener to show that it can be done. I mean, what would you say to people who, you know, who are kind of a bit worried about managing both at university?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to go for it, right? I remember those days of, you know, preparing to pitch, you know, one of the big funds that you've heard of, and then, you know, either before or after doing coursework on the, you know, on the way to the pitch, like trying to finish a paper, whatever that might be, studying for exams at the same time as the company's about to die and you need to win a customer. And frankly, it's entirely possible. You're going to encounter far harder things in your entrepreneurial career later on. So I think don't let it scare you. Commit on both. You know, I certainly didn't think, you know, because I'm running a company, that means that I can just let my degree go to the wayside. You always have to make compromises, but hey, I finished my degree happily while running the company, right? So it's definitely possible. I can say it for sure.
That's brilliant. And yeah, again, like I said, you know, it's great to hear stories like this. So what's the advice? What is the advice that you would give someone now? They're watching this, they're just starting out in their university kind of journey. What advice would you give them? How do they do what you did?
My first piece of advice is always just do it, right? Just get started, just try things, whatever that is. I always say, before we hit on the idea for my first company, Researchably, we had 15 crappy ideas before that, and probably hundreds that we didn't even document, right? So just do it, definitely is the first advice. But then the second one is a little bit more counterintuitive, which is it's actually easier to do something harder, right? Something that's more challenging, that is going to require more effort to be more impactful. Not only does it attract more investors, helps you attract more talented people, but more importantly, there's actually a bigger opportunity to create an impactful and large business in those things. So first, just do it, get any idea and run with it. And once you're comfortable with that, make it harder. Find a way to make it more impactful, find a way to make it more exciting for yourself and for the world. That would be my biggest advice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, have the belief that you can do something on a massive scale. Like it can be done. You could be that next, multi-millionaire. So, believe in it and do it. So, Mauro, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you, and hopefully we can actually meet up properly in the future sometime.
Yeah. Hopefully, Tom. Hopefully. No, on the contrary, thank you for having me, Tom.
Brilliant. Cheers, Mauro. See you later, mate. Hi, Tom. So thank you so much for joining us for our Freshers event. Let's get straight into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks very much for having me along. So for those who don't know me, I'm Tom. I'm a first-year PhD student here at the University of Southampton. I've been here for about 5 years now. So I've done a couple of degrees. I've started a couple of startups, and yeah, I've stuck around to do a PhD. So yeah, thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you, mate. So looking back all those years ago, you say you've been here 5 years. So going back to your first year, how did you get involved in kind of starting your own business?
Yeah, so I think it was towards the end of my first year. So I studied law for my undergrad, but it was towards the end of that first year. I mean, I enjoyed it as an academic subject, but I wanted to explore my options. So I came across this society called Fish on Toast. And for those who don't know, it's the Entrepreneur Society here at Southampton. And I heard they're doing this competition where you come up with an idea, pitch it, and if you're lucky, you'd get some funding to see what you could go and do with it. So it was through this that I sort of, found out about this whole enterprise ecosystem here at Southampton, and yeah, really took it from there.
That's really good. So Fish on Toast, like you said, it's the Entrepreneur Society here at the university. So, and I've also heard that you're a committee member now, which is
finally got a committee.
Glad we got you on.
5 years.
To plug it. So why should people join? What's good about Fish on Toast?
So it's just an awesome community to be a part of, really. You can join it. It's a free society, and you don't need to have a business idea or a startup to be a part of that community. You can just go along. They run loads of great enterprise skill-based events. They get some great speakers in. They do a load of great work with Future Worlds, and yeah, really, it's just awesome group of people to discuss ideas with, share different skills, all that sort of thing.
Sounds really good. Yeah, I know. It's been great to be involved with Fish on Toast, and we've worked more and more with you guys over the last couple of years and doing events together and things like that. And it's a great, I think, starting point. If you just got an idea and you just want to talk to like-minded people, it is a really good, like you say, a good starting point, an easy way into it. So yeah, no, it's good. So going on from there, so we've heard a little bit about the early days.
Yeah.
Tell us about your journey from there over the years.
Yeah, so from that point, I really sort of got a taste for starting up my own business. Unfortunately, that idea didn't go anywhere, but sort of opened the door to the other opportunities here at Southampton. So after that, I heard about the student enterprise were running this event called the 3-Day Startup program. So it's basically a 3-day weekend where you go along. You don't have any idea to start off with. You form teams, come up with something, and by the end of it, you just have something which you can pitch and present to a panel of like business experts and all that. So I was really lucky enough to be able to join that program, and the fact is it's great because there's 4 other universities which are part of it, so it's like an inter-university sort of thing. And luckily enough, one of my friends from Exeter University also joined that program, and it was from there we came up with an idea together, and it's something that we took on for the next 2 years.
That's really good, mate. And then obviously we met each other a little bit more through some of the events that you guys came to, the events that Future Worlds put on.
Yeah.
And then you joined the accelerator and became part of that program. So the Future Worlds has a startup accelerator based on campus and building one, and you were working in there with other people and pushing your startup forward. And then you were lucky enough, I'd say, to come out to CES, which is a global tech show that Future Worlds gets involved in every year. It's where the latest innovations in tech are kind of put out to the world. We're so lucky to be able to bring startups there every year and see them launch their products and meet amazing contacts. How did that process, how did that help you? What did you get out of going to CES?
Yeah, so that was an amazing experience in itself. And it was something I had heard of when I first joined the university, but again, never expected to be able to go and do it myself. So with regard to that, we got some funding from the Z21 fund, which is run by the Web Science Institute. So we got some money to be able to go and fund that. So we went out there for the week. Then after that, we went around sort of the West Coast, looking at LA, San Fran, and all the other tech accelerators they had out there. So yeah, it was incredible couple of weeks or so, and yeah, really lucky to be a part of it.
That sounds great, mate. And then you kind of did that. You came back, carried on working on your startup, and then you applied for the Future Worlds Dragon's Den program, which is a great program. It's like an acceleration program over several months where students can apply and early stage startups at the uni. And after that acceleration program, where we help you to really push forward and get customers and get traction, you get an opportunity, the top startups get an opportunity to pitch for real money from investors in our network. How did that, getting involved in that program, help you? What did you learn from going through that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's amazing having the Future Worlds Accelerator on campus. It's one of the only universities in the UK to have that sort of facility there. So to have this workspace where you can go and work on your startup pretty much almost like full-time sort of thing, share ideas with the other startups in that space. Again, that was amazing. So having the mentorship and the different programs run through that accelerator in the build up to Dragon's Den was really useful, covering everything from like marketing to finance, and then actually being able to pitch to multi-millionaire investors. Again, crazy. I never expected to be doing that. But yeah, it was such a useful experience for us. We got loads of great advice. We weren't fortunate enough to get funding through that, but the whole experience, we learned so much. So yeah, really, really useful.
Yeah, I think because you were in the first Future Worlds Dragon's Den that I was involved in, my very first one, and seeing people in that program go from kind of being a bit nervous, or they're still very early on in their kind of startup journey, and then months later down the line, you're answering questions and throwing your weight around against kind of seasoned entrepreneurs who have been very successful in their career. It's great to see that kind of progression from the students and startups here at the university. So tell us, so from going through all of these different things, and it's great to hear that you've got involved in so much over your time here at the university. Where are you today? What's going on? You mentioned your PhD.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Yeah, so I'm a first year PhD, so still trying to find my feet with that. But as well as that, on the side, I've got a new sort of startup project I'm working on. So it's called Southampton Codes. So what I'm looking to do is set up this massive digital literacy program here at Southampton. So for those who don't know, I'm not from a tech background, but working on a tech startup really taught me a load of useful skills. And really what I want to do is be able to help other people who aren't from a tech background develop these things. So whether it's for starting up their own business or improving their employability, it's an ever-growing digital world. These skills are super useful. And I just want to provide that opportunity to students to be able to acquire these.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I think there's a great advantage when you can come up with a good business idea, but also have a bit of technical ability to kind of get it started, or get to a point where you have a minimum viable product and you can show people your idea, with something physical, which is great.
Yeah,
just building something And it's a great process to go on. Like we've talked about it before, but that's really good, mate. That's really good to hear. And so last question, question I always like to ask is, so you've got a load of students that are just about to start their journey at university. What bit of advice would you give them if they want to get involved in startups?
Yes, I think the best bit of advice, if ever you want to start your own business or anything, is just, go for it. Just, you may as well give things a go. You never know what's going to happen, but you won't know unless you try, right? So I think from the start, what I really learned from university and being part of this, awesome enterprise sort of ecosystem was take these opportunities. If they're not there, make your own and just, see how far you can go with it. At the end of the day, if it doesn't always work out, experience is experience. So there's always something you can gain from it.
Mate, that's great. So that's it. That's all we've got time for. I will leave you to it, and hopefully we will meet up soon, I'm sure, at some point, hopefully. So thank you so much, Tom, for joining us and kind of giving us a little insight about your journey, your kind of startup journey here at university. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cheers for having me. See you soon.
Cheers, mate.
So you've just seen 2 out of the 4 incredible startups we have here today. And I hope it shows that you really can take a different path when exploring your own ideas. So before I introduce you to the next 2 startups, I want to introduce you to the student enterprise team here at the university, so they can tell you all about the support that they can offer you.
Hi, Sean. Thank you for joining me on this call. So Sean is from the student enterprise team, and it wouldn't be possible today to be offering that £500 if it wasn't for Santander and the student enterprise team. So Sean, please tell us all about what student enterprise does here at the university.
Hi Tom, thanks for having us. So student enterprise team sits within the careers and employability service within student services. We're a small team of 3 and we deal with anything. So from setting up your own business and also sort of if you're interested in maybe sort of the freelance side of things. Just to give you, we've got a whole host of things that go throughout the year, but I'll give you a bit of a flavour of the sort of the next 3 things that are coming up. So first off, one-to-one appointments. We offer these all the way through the year. You can go and book yourself onto one of these. If you want to go to our website, it's southampton.ac.uk/student enterprise. Go on there, click on the opportunities page, and you'll see everything that we've got coming up this year. And one of those things will be the one-to-one appointments. Get yourself booked in. It doesn't matter if you've got an existing business or you've just written an idea down on a post-it note. Come to us. We'll see how we can help you out. Next things we've got, so maybe you do have a business idea, maybe you've already got an existing business that's trading, and maybe you're looking for some funding. We've got the Seed Startup Fund, which is £30,000, which has to be delivered to students in 2 rounds. We have a December round and then a June round in the summer. You can apply for that, and that can be used to grow your business, to kickstart it a little bit if you need some, build a prototype for a product or you need some market research. So again, southampton.ac.uk/student enterprise, go to opportunities page and you'll see the Seed Startup Fund in there. So that's applications will start opening for that towards the winter. And then the next opportunity we've got coming up, 3-day startup, also known as 3DS, really exciting program delivered by the University of Texas. You don't have to have any experience in business at all. So even if you're just interested in having your own business and you don't do at all anything business related degree, you can sign up to this and learn how to take a business from an idea through to a finalized business pitch over the period of 3 days. Imagine The Apprentice, but it's going to be delivered online. So think about working through the night and sort of like that final pitch to the panel at the end. So that's in October. That's mid-weekend of October. Applications close tomorrow. So if you're going to do anything right now, get onto the student enterprise page, onto opportunity section, look for 3-day startup and get your application in there like within the next 24 hours effectively. Yeah, take a look at that right now. But apart from that, that gives a flavour of it. But I just recommend get on that opportunities page, and also at the top of that opportunities page you'll see an email sign up. This can give you notifications when all these opportunities go live. So it's a great thing. Rather than checking the website all the time, go and sign up to that and you'll see all these great opportunities pop into your inbox every now and then.
That's great, Sean. Thank you so much. That's absolutely brilliant. And like I said, Tom Phipps, who was on this call earlier, mentioned 3-day startups. That's how it all really started for him. So fantastic opportunity, like Sean says. Thank you, Sean. Brilliant to see you again, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Sally, thank you and welcome to our Future World's Freshers event. Lovely to have you here. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good, Tom.
Good, good, good. So tell us all a little bit about who you are, what you're studying at university, and a little bit about your startup.
Okay, so I am a psychology student at Southampton and I'm going into my 3rd year this year. And my startup is called Small Steps. It's a subscription box service which aims to help people find more sustainable versions of the current products they use.
Very nice, very nice. So let's have a little think here. So take me back to kind of the beginning of uni, or like you coming to university. How did you feel? What was it? What you expected? How did you get? Were you interested in startups before? How did you get involved in the kind of startup scene? How did that lead you to start Small Steps?
So I think I had always been fairly entrepreneurial. I'd always done projects at school. I'd led little initiatives in my 6th form, but I don't think I would have ever called myself an entrepreneur or said, oh, I'm going to start a business. But I saw a little Facebook event sort of halfway through my 1st year. That was actually Tom Phipps doing a Fish on Toast event talking about his startup.
Okay.
So that actually, it was sort of like why you should start your business at university. So I was like, okay, I'll go along, see what this guy has to say.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the event, met the Fish on Toast team, and I ended up actually working as a sort of ambassador for Tom at Intro. And then from that, I ended up meeting Kalo, who also was involved in Fish on Toast. And he said, oh, why don't you come along? There's a sort of like committee hustings event. So I ended up going into the Fish on Toast committee, and then I found out about the Student Enterprise team and Future World. So I started going to Future World's events, and I joined in some competitions from Student Enterprise, and ended up doing quite well from that. So I just sort of then had this network and existed in the Southampton entrepreneurial community. I really enjoyed it. So I thought, right, it's time for me to do something now this year.
Yeah, nice. I think that's a really interesting point in terms of there are so many different like pots and places that you can go to kind of get involved in entrepreneurship and enterprise at the university, and it shows that when you get involved in one like you did, it's kind of and then you discover another until you're at a point where you know maybe you're looking to start your own business. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, I know that you've worked for a few startups as well in your time, which again I think is really interesting for our viewers, in terms of that's another way to kind of explore, you know, getting involved in starting your own business. You know, so tell us a little bit about that experience and who you worked for and how that went.
Yeah, so initially I did a student enterprise competition, and there was a guy there who had a tech startup, and I did really well in the competition. And again, this was the point that I just would not have called myself an entrepreneur at all. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually quite good at this. And I went and worked for this guy at the startup outside of the uni. It was a really interesting experience, but I also feel like getting into that sort of entrepreneurial community, I picked up a lot of sort of like tech startup lingo, if that makes sense. And I started to feel like I actually knew what I was doing and that maybe I actually did belong in that space. And then obviously I got more involved with Future World, and I went to some sort of entrepreneur events, so like Venture Fest, which is where I met Dylan, and I ended up working for Boon in the Future World space. And I think that was really great for me because it was almost like a confidence building thing, because I got really inspired by what I was doing at Boon and where they were going. But also I was able to work in amongst that space with other entrepreneurs. So I started finding out about what Josh was doing and what Leah's doing and what everyone else is doing. And I started sort of having conversations with other entrepreneurs and just sort of gaining this sort of lingo and experience and learning about their sort of pitfalls and successes. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence that I could also do that.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice to hear. And again, for me personally, like putting on some of like the Future World's workshops and seeing lots of people from all different societies and backgrounds and different courses kind of come together and learn different skills, but then obviously like meet different people and kind of gain confidence from each other and seeing what other people are doing. And, you know, I think it is a real confidence builder being able to talk about your ideas with other people and meet them and see if there are opportunities to work together. And yeah, no, it sounds really interesting what you've done. And again, like I said, it's good for the viewers to hear that. Like there are, you know, get involved in a startup. You can go work for a startup. You don't have to actually create your own startup yourself. So obviously, next question. This is a good one. Dragon's Den. You're in Dragon's Den this year, 2020, which will be happening at the end of the month. You've been in the accelerator program over the summer. You've had support from Student Enterprise and Future Worlds. How are you feeling about it? Like it's getting really close now. How's it all going? Yeah, just tell us a little bit about the experience so far.
Yeah, it's going really well. It's definitely been a balance of kind of startup life, highs and lows, and then trying to really sort of, you know, create that runway for myself into Dragon's Den. And I think the mentors have been really helpful in that, and also the Future Worlds team just sort of like meeting in with me at those checkpoints and deciding like, you know, when I am having those lows, okay, how do I approach this differently? Just sort of having other voices and approaches has been really good. And also practicing my pitch as well, having other eyes from the cohort as well to critique each other's pitches and practice that has been really good.
No, that's really good. So, lastly, this is a question I ask everybody. It's advice. What advice would you give people just starting out? So there's obviously so much people can get involved at university, and what advice would you give people interested in starting their own business, exploring that whole scene? What advice would you give?
I would say don't be put off if you don't think you're an entrepreneur, or if you're not doing a sort of business degree. You probably have skills that can be applied. And I think that if you have an idea or you don't, when you start a startup, you have to wear many hats and sort of be aware of when you can sort of hack something together and learn about it, or when actually you need help and you need someone else's outside help. And I think it's really important before you start the startup to try and build this sort of network around you. And if you kind of go to Future Worlds events and introduce yourself and stick around and network, and you go to the Fish on Toast events, and then you are able to sort of practice some of your skills at the Student Enterprise events, if you sort of do a bit of all of that, you start to see familiar faces and build this network around you, that when you think, oh, I'm working by myself in my bedroom, I don't know how to do this, you then have people to reach out to, and you have this really rich network of people around you who do know more about that thing that you're stuck with.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sally. That's brilliant. I'll let you go now, but thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure and hopefully we will be seeing each other soon in person at some kind of events in the near future.
Thanks for having me.
Nah, cool. Thank you. Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for being a part of our Freshers event. It's great to see you. How's America?
Oh, America is fantastic. I'm up in Silicon Valley at the moment. Thank you so much for having me, actually.
No, it's all good. So give us an introduction. Who are you? What course did you study here at University of Southampton, and what are you doing out there?
So my name's Alex. I'm working for an up-and-coming startup specializing in air quality monitors, and I graduated from University of Southampton last year with a computer science Masters of Engineering.
Very nice. So why I wanted to speak to you for this event is that I think your story is really interesting. It's very different to the kind of conventional startup success story. It's a success story in a different sense, that you've been successful in your career and getting an opportunity, and great place to get one out in Silicon Valley. So tell us a little bit about your journey back from when you kind of started out at university and you came across your idea to start a startup, and then how that led you from there out to Silicon Valley.
Well, actually, it's got something to do with my part-time job at university. I used to work for a supermarket. I won't give any names. But when I was working in that supermarket over the course of my university, I noticed a lot of theft and a lot of items going missing. I could see the figures, and actually it's much larger than what most people think it is. And I began work on my startup to try to solve that by using AI, using video cameras and that kind of thing to analyze video footage to try to identify the sources of theft and to figure out where all the stuff is going. And that really was the one that kickstarted my kind of like startup focus. And I began working on that solution pretty much the second half of my university career.
Cool. And so how did you come across Future Worlds, just as a matter of interest?
Well, it was still being built.
What's it?
Yeah, part of my course had we had a laboratory I needed to use for my course. And it was right next to the Future Worlds building, and I used to walk past it being constructed every single day, and began to turn my head, and I thought to myself, well, I really want to get involved. So I got in contact with the director of the Future Worlds. We had a meeting, and then, well, I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So what I want to ask you is, you're from ECS, you've got a lot of technical skills from your course. Did you find that having those skills made it easier for you to kind of take your idea to, get it going in a sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it gave me the key foundations to allow me to execute upon it. I remember building a prototype which I took to a trade show, for example, and without ECS, without my computer science degree, I don't think I could have done it. It gives me an amazing foundation to be able to understand the technology, know what's out there, know what's achievable, what we can try to aspire to achieve, and then understand exactly where you need to start from to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, nice. So, Alex, you're working on this startup. You're working with us at Future Worlds. You make the decision to enter Dragon's Den in 2019, the Future Worlds Dragon's Den program, and you get all the way to being like in the final 6 almost, and you're on the cusp of about to pitch for real investment from our network of millionaire investors, and you get this offer from Silicon Valley that you mentioned earlier. That must have been such a big decision, and clearly one that's paid off for you. I'll just take us through that kind of decision-making process.
Oh, it was one of the hardest decisions of my life, I'll be honest with you. It was an incredibly, incredibly tough one. And it was difficult. I was on the edge on both directions. I mean, I really didn't know what to go for. And the one thing that's really pushed me over was the fact that this is an amazing opportunity to be able to come over here, to be able to experience life and work over here. And that was probably the only thing that pushed me over this direction. But I'll be honest with you, if I hadn't done the Future Worlds or anything like that, the connections I would have made, the skills that I would have that I developed over the course of that, the things I can talk to people about, I don't think I'd ever be here. So I do have to give credit to Future Worlds and everything that they did for me in that respect. So
mate, that's really nice to hear, and I think that really sums up, the fact that you went, you took an opportunity at university and it led you down a path, and you went a completely different direction in the end, but it's a consequence of taking that opportunity when you were at university. So last question, Alex, before I let you go. We've got a lot of people watching this that are just starting out and probably watching it because they're interested in starting their own business. So what bit of advice would you give them?
I think the biggest bit of advice I can give is don't rush into the technical side. So don't rush into building a prototype or an MVP or anything like that. Really take the time to understand your market, understand what is valuable for the market, because that's what you need to build towards. And then begin to look at the prototype. But make sure it has the value that you think it's got. That's the big important thing.
Nice, man. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us. I know it's very early there, so have a great day, and hopefully we will catch up again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
With Mauro going through a top Silicon Valley accelerator, Tom doing a PhD and launching his second startup, Sally is just about to pitch at Future Worlds Dragon's Den, and Alex taking on a job with a startup out in the States. So much is possible when you explore your own startup idea here at the university. So to help one of you get started, we're offering £500 to the best startup idea. All you need to do is go to futureworlds.com/freshers500 and tell us about that idea. You have till midnight on Sunday to get your application in. We're going to announce the winner in next Thursday's newsletter. So make sure you subscribe, which is at futureworlds.com/newsletter. Don't miss out on this. So lastly, all I have to say is I hope you can join us for Future Worlds Dragons Den 2020. It's going to be taking place between the 26th and 29th of October, and you can register for free right now at futureworlds.com/dragons. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope you take on your own startup journey right now at university.